What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Shogu here with another video, and today I'm going to be bringing you a cooking video on how to make homemade mac and cheese. Stovetop or baked, it's up to you, and we'll get to that a little bit later on in the video. Figured it is now September, holidays right around the corner. Thanksgiving, anybody? Want to go ahead and show you guys how to make some good homemade mac and cheese. And I'm just going to go ahead and apologize right now. I accidentally shot this in 720p 30 frames. Didn't mean to. Still new to using this camera. My bad, guys. But on a quest, you've got to use what you've got. So, this is what we got. I'm going to keep it short, sweet, simple, right to the point. You see on the screen right now, these are the ingredients that I personally used. And I will be putting the ingredients / recipe in the description. But just don't worry, guys, the recipe, it's not really rules, it's more like guidelines, if you will. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to go ahead and preheat that oven to 350 if you're going to be baking. If you're not going to be baking the mac and cheese, that's fine. We're just going to cook your noodles a little bit more later on down the line when we cook the noodles. But for now, if you are baking, preheat it, get it going, don't wait, and we'll move on to the next one. Let's go ahead and grate your 6 cups of cheese. You can grate a little bit more if you like to add a little extra to your mix, to your sauce, or hold some extra cheese for your crust on top if you're baking. That's what I would personally recommend. I like to use a little bit more cheese myself. For this video I didn't, but again, wanted to keep things simple. And once you grate them all together, you're gonna mix them all together in a bowl. Just go ahead and keep that flavor uniform. Now, side note, do not ever use pre-shredded cheese. Ever. Don't do it. It's sacrilege, I tell you. It's less flavor. It's got a starchy film on the outside of the strings of cheese, and it messes things up. It gunks things up. You just don't want to do it. Just take the 5 minutes out of your life, grate some blocks of cheese, and move on. Okay? And then, and side note, if you're going to be choosing cheeses, aside from the ones I've chosen, the cheeses that melt the best will be the best to choose. So the better it melts, the better it's going to be for your sauce. Okay, and next up, we're going to go ahead and make our roux. Roux is just a fancy word for a thickener that is equal parts melted butter and flour. It's more of a natural thickener compared to cornstarch or arrowroot, but we're not going to get into those. So you're just going to go ahead, throw the butter in the pot, let it melt. And when the butter starts to simmer, you're going to add the flour and whisk them in together. And once you've whisked it all together, there's no more clumps. You're going to let it sit there and cook for a minute. You want to get rid of that raw flour flavor. After it's done cooking, then you will go ahead and add your first 2 cups of milk to the roux and whisk it all together. Now, I want to be perfectly clear about this. You're going to be whisking every minute or so, as it's heating up. But you do not want to rush this, okay? Because right now, you are making what is called a bechamel. It's basically just milk and roux put together. Key thing is, you don't want to treat it like it's water. You do not want to scorch the bottom of this sauce. Otherwise, your mac and cheese will just taste burnt. It's not going to be good, okay? Just leave it go on its medium heat and just let it heat up, and trust me, once it heats up enough, it will thicken up, and it's gonna be a thick boy, I promise. Alright, now once it's go ahead and thickened up, and you will notice it, you're going to add the second 2 cups of milk. But you can also sub out these 2 cups of milk with 2 cups of half and half, or 2 cups of heavy cream if you want to mess around with the creaminess a little bit. But most people aren't going to have these things in their fridge, so we're just going to keep the milk and move on with life. Alright, now you're going to set aside, out of the 6 cups of cheese, 1.5 set it to the side. You're going to use that as your top layer of cheese for the baking, and the remaining 4.5 cups of cheese you're going to slowly add to your sauce, whisking until it's melted. So handful of cheese, put it in, whisk it till it's melted. Another handful, whisk till it's gone. Make sure it's all good, melted, and then you're now going to add salt, pepper, and paprika to taste. Okay, I say to taste because everyone is different. This is your mac and cheese, not mine. Salt it, pepper it, paprika. Paprika is more for color than anything, but I digress. And if you're not sure how much you should, just put in a half teaspoon of all 3. Okay, half teaspoon salt, half teaspoon of pepper, half teaspoon of paprika. It's a good guideline to go by. And once you've mixed it all together, it should very nicely coat the back of a spoon for thickness. If you feel it's not thick enough, you can always make a little more roux and add it in, or if you want to cheat, add a little cornstarch. That's fine too. If it's too thick, then you can always add a little bit of milk, thin it out. That's not going to hurt it. All right, and then you're going to kick it back on low, and now we're going to move on to cooking the noodles. So you're going to go ahead and get a pot of water, get it boiling, and you're going to put your noodles in and cook them for about 5 to 7 minutes. If you're baking it, 5 to 7, I should say, and you want the crunch in the noodle to be gone. You want it to be nice and firm, but not al dente. We are par cooking. There's a difference. Al dente would only need about another minute or so in the water and it'd be done. Par cooking the noodles, which is what we want, it would still need a few more minutes of boiling time. But the crunch should be gone. It should be nice and firm. If you're just doing stovetop, mix it in with the sauce and done, you want to go ahead and cook these things till they are done. About 8 to 10 minutes, depending. You know, just about the 8-minute mark, just take a noodle out, test it, and do it to your own preference. You know, it's all on you. Welcome to cooking, everybody. It's all on you. All right, and now once they're cooked, you're gonna drain them, shock them under some cold water, make sure they are no longer hot, make sure these things are not cooking themselves anymore. Then you're gonna throw it all back in the bowl, mix it with the sauce, and then once you've done mixed and make sure it's all mixed together, put it in the baking pan, cover it with the last 1.5 cups of cheese, and we're gonna throw it in the oven for 30 minutes. All right, and go do something else. Go play Call of Duty, go read a book. You know, this 30 minutes are gonna drive you nuts. Don't stand there and wait on this to be done. All right, go watch a TV show. All right, and when 30 minutes is up, you're going to go back, turn your oven off, but turn your broil on high. We're gonna cook the top of this thing. We're gonna cook it hard and fast, make that nice good crust, because now your mac and cheese, for all intents and purposes, is done, but we want it to look a little better on top, you know what I mean? So 5 minutes of that, and once that's done, you just take it out of the oven, turn your broiler off, and you're done. That's it. That mac and cheese should be looking pretty good. So I hope you've all enjoyed. Go ahead and send me some pics of your mac and cheese if you followed this, or if you have a different way of doing it and you want to show me that. That's cool. I'll put some links in the description to my Twitch and my Twitter and my Facebook. And send me some suggestions of your mac and cheese if you want to change some stuff around aside from the noodles or the cheeses. You know, if you got some other stuff you might be able to teach me, go for it. All right. And I also stream games on Facebook if anyone wants to pop in, chill, say hey if that's your thing. Or if you just see them live, you got a question for me you want answered right now, go ahead and ask me some cooking questions. I have my associate's degree in culinary, 18-month program that taught me a few tricks, gave me a piece of paper, sent me on my merry way. It's a wonderful thing. All right, and I hope to see you guys around, and have a good one.